You're listening to Ask the Expert on Sprott Money News.
Well, hello again from Sprott Money News and SprottMoney.com, and it's time for another one of our Ask the Expert segments. I'm your host, Craig Hemke, and joining us this time is Richard Hayes. Richard is the CEO of the Perth Mint in Australia, and it's a pleasure to get a chance to visit with him. Richard, thank you for taking a few minutes to join us here at Sprott Money News.
Good evening, Craig. Delighted to be with you. Really happy to share some of my thoughts with you and with your listeners.
And we are very excited to be associated with the Perth Mint. And, of course, Perth Mint products can be found at Sprott Money. And just a quick note for everybody listening, you can also open a storage account with Sprott Money. So you can buy yourself some Perth Mint bullion, and then you can store it with Sprott Money. All of your precious metals can be stored with us at any one of our 6 global locations. All you have to do is sign up for Sprott Money International Storage. You'll also receive exclusive deal notifications from Sprott Money. So please go to SprottMoney.com or just call us at 888-861-0775 for more details. Richard, it's time for you and I to get into the details of Ask the Expert. If you're ready, can I hit you with the first question?
Absolutely.
All right, my friend, let's talk about the Perth Mint a little bit. First question deals with some of the coin series you have. What is the most popular coin series that the Perth Mint creates, and are there any new coins coming our way here in 2019?
Okay, thanks, Craig. Well, the Australian kangaroo, which is really the equivalent to the Canadian maple or to the US eagle, that's our most popular coin program, having been in production since 1986. So we've really got a lot of years under our belt with the Australian kangaroo. We sell the Australian kangaroo globally, and it's it really has proven to be enduringly popular for us. We also make a range of sizes in both gold, silver, and platinum of the Australian kangaroo, and it's just very uniquely Australian. People love it because it's got the kangaroo on it. And it also comes from a sovereign mint, which we are, just really adding to its popularity. We do continually have new releases that come onto the market. Our most recent numismatic release is The Simpsons, a really popular series here in Australia and undoubtedly in the United States as well. 30 years, actually, since The Simpsons came into our living rooms. Yeah. And the first 3 coins, which features the pink donut and the Simpsons family, and then a bullion Homer Simpson coin, all sold out within weeks of being released. We released those coins at the Berlin World Money Fair at the beginning of February, and within weeks those were sold out. There are further 8 coins in the series that are coming, and we expect them to do really well. Just a great celebration of the Simpsons cultural icon. We also run a range of lunar proof and bullion coins, celebrating obviously the 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac calendar. We're just completing our second 12-year series, so we've been doing this for 24 years now. And in 2020, we're starting the 3rd lunar series. We're the only mint in the world that has done lunar coins for so long. Again, enduringly popular around the world, very collectible, and very popular, both with collectors and with gift givers.
Richard, you're telling me that there was a Homer Simpson gold coin and I didn't get one?
Come to perthmint.com. And we'd love to help you out.
My goodness gracious. I'm mad at myself that I missed that. I can see why that was such a big seller. That's terrific.
Yeah. Really popular.
Let's move on to question number 2. A lot of folks know that Australia produces a lot of gold. There are a lot of great Australian mining companies that folks own shares in. And so I thought this was quite interesting, and just curious as to where Perth Mint sources their gold. Do you primarily source it from Australia?
Yes, we do. Perth Mint refines the vast majority, well in excess of 90% of all the gold mined in Australia. And Australia itself is the second largest gold producer in the world after China. And in fact, Australia has the largest proven gold reserves in the world. So Australia really is a country that's been founded on gold. And Perth Mint, as I say, refines well in excess of 90% of that. We also source significant amounts of gold from places like Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Fiji, the Solomon Islands. We do a bit out of Malaysia and Thailand as well. And we have relationships, with all the big global mining companies. Some of whom are, household names in the United States, and we're very, very pleased to have those relationships. And all up, we refine about 350 tons of gold every year through the Perth Mint.
Terrific. The next question, I think, is a fascinating one, as it deals with current demand trends for gold. Always have strong retail demand, but last year, 2018, saw the highest demand for central banks in 50 years. Something 650 metric tons, something like that. Just curious, do you believe that central banks will continue to be adding gold here in 2019?
I think they will be. I think there's an awful lot of uncertainty globally. And if you look at the Washington Accord in the early 2000s and a number of the other arrangements where many central banks sold off significant amounts of their gold holdings at, between $250 and $400 an ounce. When the financial crisis came in 2008, and gold prices went up to the extent that they didn't, everybody was scrambling for alternate assets, alternate stores of value. I think there were a whole lot of central bankers that were very, very unhappy with the decisions that they'd made 10 years previously. So certainly we see central bank buying being a part of our landscape for the foreseeable future. You're right, 651 metric tons in 2018, which was the largest net purchase since 1967. Only 375 tons in 2017. So, it was almost doubled, or about sort of 75% up from what we saw in 2017, and I have no reason to believe that 2019 is going to be any different, largely driven by, geopolitical uncertainty and also economic uncertainty as well. Remember, all of the sovereign debt issues and a lot of the corporate debt issues actually still remain, and they're all a hangover from the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. And the way that these things historically have always been solved is inflation comes in and people tend to inflate their way out of that debt. That hasn't happened this time. And inflation, as everybody knows, is a pretty small number at the moment. It's a vexed question that many central bankers are wrestling with at the moment. How do they actually spark inflation without letting the genie out of the bag completely and ending up with runaway inflation? And inflation really is at record lows, post-war record lows. That's post-Second World War record lows. And countries across the world have struggled to really get inflation to start to take hold to drive economic growth.
Yeah. And actually, I think the fourth question, Richard, is a great kind of follow-on to what you were just talking about. In that, as we record this, it was just noted by the Federal Reserve here in the U.S. that they're going to be stopping their interest rate hikes. Certainly look like there aren't any more coming this year. And the fourth question deals with that. Do you think that global central bank interest rate policy reversals will impact prices and demand as we go through this year?
Craig, a really interesting topic. Every time the Fed talks about raising interest rates, the stock markets get the jitters. And everybody gets really nervous and uncomfortable, and people start sort of twitching in their offices. And corporate America starts to get pretty nervous around the whole thing. And the problem is that the world has become very, very used to this low inflationary environment, and also very, very used to super low interest rates. Central banks these days have very few economic levers that they can actually pull. Interest rates obviously being one of them, quantitative easing, or if you prefer money printing, which is how I tend to describe it, just crank up the printing presses at the Bureau of Printing and Engraving. Those are really the only two major economic levers that central bankers have. And you've seen the US Fed and also the ECB and other countries as well, but those are the two big ones, that have really become very, very concerned about raising interest rates in an attempt to spark some inflation. It just hasn't worked. And the old economic equations, the old economic truisms that applied 10 and 15 years ago just don't apply anymore. We're in a new paradigm now.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Richard, I want to shift gears here as we move to the fifth question, because this is something I know is very important, near and dear to hearts of people that stack, collect precious metal, store precious metal, own precious metal. Everybody wants to and is concerned about counterfeiting and making sure it's the real deal, because we keep there's stories all over the internet, of counterfeit bullion bars and things like that out there. So at the Perth Mint specifically, though, what steps do you take to protect your customers from counterfeiting?
Look, another very, very good question. We remain very concerned about counterfeiting, as do all sovereign mints, as do most of the global refiners, or those of repute anyway. And it's really unfortunate that fake bars and coins are still coming onto the market in very, very big quantities. It's no real secret as to where they're coming from. And this really is presenting significant challenges for the industry. So in recent years, we've certainly made it more difficult for counterfeiters to copy our coins. We have included tiny micro-engraved security features. We include a number of other security features as well. And there are projects that are being worked on by the London Bullion Market Exchange to really tighten up on supply chain integrity. And we, along with a number of other major global refiners, are involved in those projects. So we are taking it very seriously. We're putting our money where our mouth is. The best advice we can give people is always purchase your precious metals from a reputable source, either directly from the mint or from one of the Mint's authorized coin or bullion dealers worldwide. Buying something from a pawn shop, buying something in a car park, buying something on, the internet sales sites, and there, a number of them that sell products, carries significant risk with it. And if a deal looks to be too good, it probably is. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this industry. And if a deal looks too good to be true, then you can bet your bottom dollar that it probably is too good to be true.
That's wise advice just in general, no doubt about that. And again, just so keep in mind, those authentic Perth Mint products are available at SprottMoney.com. Just 3 questions left to go, Richard. You mentioned earlier the vast gold resources that Australia has. And I would imagine Australia is a lot like Canada in that it's almost kind of in the blood. Canadian citizens like to own gold and precious metals and natural resources. I imagine Australians are the same. But for the Mint itself, what steps do you all take to inspire the people of Australia to own physical gold and silver?
Oh, Craig, you're absolutely right. There are significant similarities between Australia and Canada. Both very, very big countries with relatively small populations, but fiercely independent populations as well. And gold is part of our history. It's part of the Canadian history as well. And both countries, to some degree, were founded on those early gold rushes. So gold in Australia is actually not that difficult to sell in many ways. And the aim of the Perth Mint is twofold, really. It's about supporting the Australian gold mining industry, and we do an awful lot of things to do that, including making sure that Australian gold is accessible to as many people as possible in as many ways as possible, all the way through from buying traditional bars and coins, through online depository style products, through almost sort of crypto gold type offerings. We launched a gold-backed exchange-traded fund on the New York Stock Exchange in August of last year, with all the gold being held here in Perth. The underlying gold itself is government guaranteed. And those are all ways that we've worked to support the Australian gold mining industry by making gold as accessible for as many people as possible. all the way through from the millennials to the more traditional buyers, the mums and dads, but also institutional investors as well.
Richard, our seventh question kind of follows up on that. Are there initiatives that you've got planned there at the Perth Mint to increase awareness globally of the products that you have?
Absolutely. So, for example, one of our relatively new initiatives is a smartphone app called Gold Pass. Currently, we've just rolled it out in Australia, but we are looking to roll this out globally in a range of currencies, including US dollars, Canadian dollars. We'll do it in euros, and a number of other exchangeable currencies as well. And this provides a credible alternative to cryptocurrencies. So, we believe that because this will be able to be acquired through exchanges, it will allow people to switch in and out of their more traditional cryptocurrencies into something like gold that does have real value, that does have a real tangible asset behind it to support it. There's no doubt that, if you look at Bitcoin, it rose all the way through, $18,000, and it's back at the sort of $6,000 mark at the moment. And those holders of Bitcoins are certainly believers in alternate currencies, in cryptocurrencies. But there's nothing quite like having a gold coin, if you will, in the crypto world, where you're not just reliant on an arithmetic formula and a bunch of arithmetic mining companies to actually support the value of what you've got. Gold actually does provide that solid, that tangible worth of your holding at the end of the day, like nothing else does.
Yeah, no doubt. I always tell people, you hold one gold coin in your hand just one time and you're hooked. You realize you've got something significant, don't you?
You are. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Richard, just one last question, and this one deals with it's a pretty specific question that somebody sent in to us, and they'd asked us to pass this along to you. This person said they had recently completed their collection of all 12 Lunar 2 series silver coins, and they just wanted to know what would be the maximum number of complete sets of this series that are going to be available.
Firstly, I'm frankly delighted that whoever wrote in has actually managed to complete the set. That's fantastic. Thank you for your custom, and we hope you're really happy with our products. So to date, the total number of sets that could be made up for the complete 12 years of the Kilo Series 2 is 13,348.
That seems like, is that a lot? Is that more than normally you would have?
No, these are very, very popular, and these are sold globally, and it's really a very, very collectible set to have a complete set of Kilo Lunars, very, very limited mintages, and if you were able to scrape absolutely everything together, that grand total would be 13,348. Complete sets, but to actually get that would be virtually impossible because you'd have to corner the market in it.
You're right.
So there'd be far, far, far fewer complete sets. That's the total that you could do if you were able to garner absolutely everything around the place from anywhere and everywhere. And that would mean that you had everything. You'd have 13,000. The practical reality is that there would be, at most complete sets, there'd be, maybe 1,000. I don't really know.
Right.
So I'd be guessing, but it'd be a fraction of that 13,000 practically that would be available. It would be an absolute fraction of that.
Yeah. That's fascinating, and I would think the average numismatic collector just has to love getting these full series of your coins, whether they're gold or silver.
Absolutely. And, to have a complete set is quite a rarity.
Yeah.
There would be very few complete sets. Plenty of Lunar coins around, but complete sets, that's another whole issue.
Yeah.
Another whole issue.
I've got to get myself a complete set of those Simpson deals, though. I got to tell you that. I think that sounds fantastic.
They will be in the future. I would imagine that they will be pretty hotly held by collectors of Simpsons memorabilia.
Absolutely. What better way to get started than to get the whole collector set of Simpsons coins, and then you're also getting 10 ounces of gold out of the deal.
Yeah, you are.
That's a good deal on that part. All right, but just before we go, Rich, I want to remind our listeners, specifically in the States, it is retirement planning season, and most folks may not realize that you can actually hold physical gold and physical silver in an IRA account. You can actually get yourself some kangaroos, some of those Simpson coins, or some silver coins from the Perth Mint, and hold them in your IRA. To open a self-directed precious metals IRA with Sprott Money, you got to do it before April 15th, first of all. You've got to call us up at 888-861-0775. We offer these in association with New Direction Trust right here through Sprott Money. And again, you can find all this at sprottmoney.com as well. Again, we've been speaking with Richard Hayes, the CEO of the Perth Mint. Richard, it has been a real pleasure to get a chance to visit with you, and I thank you very much for your time.
Likewise, Craig, thank you so much for the opportunity of just sharing a few thoughts with you and with your listeners. It's been a real pleasure.
And from all of us here at Sprott Money News and SprottMoney.com, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again next month.